You're there.
We're good? So for today's sermon, since it is Christ the King Sunday, and we're also looking at Thanksgiving this week, I've reached into Pastor Dave's big book of stories for look, it just looks just like me, doesn't it? See? Pointy nose. He has more hair than me. Thank you, Mark. That's what I'm thankful for, people like Mark. Okay. Gilligan and the skipper had a 3-hour tour. The ocean was calm, their confidence was sure, but the weather turned sour and took them off course. They needed some help from a heavenly source. Rosebud, he uttered, before they found him dead. It wasn't a girl, just a flashback about a sled. A symbol of simpler times and regrets. He needed a true king to pay off his debts. Every once in a while, I feel kind of crazy. And those who I preach to think I'm lazy. I substitute rhyme for the God-inspired word, so just don't tune me out. This needs to be heard. Dr. Seuss wrote a story called Mulberry Street. He said, that is a story that no one can beat. Well, I have a story to tell you today, an homage to Seuss, a Grinch kind of play. Dr. Seuss was a poet, a legend in his time. His rhymes were exquisite, snappier than mine. But I like to write, and I am no poet, and after this sermon, well, everyone will know it. So this sermon will rhyme, and I hope it will teach, and no matter the style, I still think it can preach. I will start with a story about Jesus and Pilate. The Passover was here, and there was almost a riot. Because when the Jews gathered, the crowds were gigantic. The potential for problems made old Pilate frantic. Pilate was governor for half a score, no less. That's 1/2 of 20. There's no reason to guess. And during his reign, there were riots galore. The Jews hated the Romans, their taxes, and more. The Jews, well, they hated to be told how to live. So under Pilate's reign, well, something must give. When Pilate faced Jesus, he felt pressure to find the answer to, if a king, then tell me what kind. When was the last time you felt pressure abounding? Was it Christmas, a funeral, where your temples were pounding? Or maybe it was family with the turkey and the dressing, too much family and football and holiday stressing. Before you know it, Black Friday is here. You watch people's greed and anger appear. There's so much to do, the baking cookies and candy, while your husband heads out looking to shoot Bambi. Or maybe it is work that causes your stress, your coworkers whose lives are always a mess. Or maybe it was a death that makes this time sad, so holidays do nothing but make you feel bad. When faced with such stress, we need to renew our faith life if our relationship with God is askew. But hold on, let's back up and return to our text. Let's find out why Pilate is feeling so vexed. Pilate asked Jesus, tell me, are you a king? Jesus answered, why, sir, why do you ask such a thing? Pilate says, your people have handed you over. What have you done to be such a bother? Pilate asked the question, Jesus, are you a king? Today we ponder and ask the same thing. Do we live our lives as if under his reign? Is he king of our lives or king only in name? Pilate wants Jesus to stand and confess, so he, Pilate, can wash his hands of this mess. Jesus only smiles and says, you say that I am. That is why I've come, so no one is damned. Death is the common denominator, it's true. No one can escape the grim reaper's view. Nothing, not surgery, not money or prayers, can slow our steady march toward the heavenly stairs. So the things we value, our possessions and our loot, well, my friends, God just does not give a hoot. Jesus is looking for more of our time. He wants to be king, both yours and mine. Pilate asks, what is truth? Looking to find some meaning about Jesus to ease his mind. But for Jesus, the cross is his statement of love, a part of God's blessings that flow from above. My prayer is this: if your life is on edge, take time each day to remember our pledge. Actually, more than a pledge, it's a confession that stands as our statement of truth here in Lutherland. These creeds state our faith, our beliefs, who we are. We are people of the cross, and it begins with a star. And soon we will gather at this table of grace. If Jesus is your king, then live out your faith. But how do I live out my faith, you might say? Well, take time each day to discern and to pray. It is true, God is love, and this is our vision. If to love and to serve all people, that's our mission. Too many people are lost and forgotten by a world that sees them as sinful and rotten. So remember one thing from my sermon of rhyme, that loving your neighbor is good use of your time. What kind of a king is this Jesus, you ask? His reign should influence each thought and each task. His kingdom is heavenly. Upon the cross he was placed, but death was destroyed by the empty tomb of grace. Remember, we can't choose to whom we show grace. When we do, we miss seeing Jesus in their face. So when we see all the blessings we favor, we stop and give thanks to our King and our Savior. Thanks should flow when we receive this gift. Thanks should flow though our lives seem adrift. Thanks should flow like water from above, flowing through our lives from our King of love. You have heard the truth. Jesus is the King. Now live it, proclaim it, let your words sing. This truth is priceless, one you must treasure. It is a gift that goes beyond all measure. This world knows kings like Tut, David, and Midas, but none of them have the gifts that guide us. Jesus is, Jesus was, Jesus will be forever. He is the Alpha and Omega, our King and our Savior. So that's the end of my sermon of rhyme. I know you are happy to see it end this time. So Christ is King, and happy Thanksgiving, my friends. So join me in shouting a rousing Amen.